Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Gisela Escobedo, and I'm here with the Community Language Co-op. And I want to start saying thank you to the organizers of this event for practicing language justice. Thank you for your commitment and giving an opportunity where people can participate and engage in the language of their heart, the language that they feel most comfortable in, that is the language that they practice at home. So to create this space, we're going to be using simultaneous interpretation. So when I finish saying this in Spanish, we will turn on interpretation and you will see the globe icon on the bottom of your bar that says interpretation. If you're not fully bilingual, I ask that you select your preferred language, if it's English or Spanish. And if you're bilingual, you don't have to select anything. And if you're joining us today from a phone or a tablet, it has three dots on the bottom of your bar that says more. You can click on it and then you can select your language as well. If you're going to be presenting or facilitating, please be aware of your speed, knowing that Spanish takes 20 to 25% longer than English. Hola, buenas tardes a todas las personas. Mi nombre es Gisela. Yo estoy aquí con la Community Language Co-op. Y quiero darle las gracias a los organizadores de este evento por practicar la justicia del lenguaje. Gracias por dar una oportunidad donde las personas pueden participar e involucrarse en el idioma de su corazón, en el idioma que se sienten más cómodos, que es el idioma que practican en casa. Para crear este espacio vamos a estar usando la interpretación simultánea. Así que cuando termine de decir esto, vamos a aprender interpretación y usted va a ver un icono de un globo en la barra de abajo de su pantalla que dice interpretación. Si no es completamente bilingüe, te pido que selecciones tu idioma preferido, ya sea inglés o español. Si eres completamente bilingüe, no necesitas seleccionar nada. Si vas a estar presentando o facilitando, sé consciente de tu velocidad. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. You can go ahead and turn on interpretation.
Thank you, Gisela. I'll call this regular work session of the Sheridan City Council to order for August 22nd. The time is 6:06 p.m. We have all council members present. Our first item tonight is the Communication Department overview and goals.
Thank you, Mary. And so Amy has been working really hard on developing our communications department, and thought we'd take an opportunity for her to kind of just get in front of you and talk to you about some of the things that she's been working on, bring you up to speed.
Great. Perfect.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Good evening. So yes, tonight I'm going to present to you a communications department overview and goals. So that way we can all get on the same page about what this department has been looking like over the last year and what we want to do moving forward. It's also an opportunity for you guys to provide direction to me in regards to developing a communications plan, what we kind of want that to look like. So that way we can have something official to help further govern this department. So right now, I'm obviously playing off of the job description for the public information officer position, but I'm also looking at the city's comprehensive plan under Chapter 6, which deals with community engagement to also kind of help with the goals and the initiatives for this department. So in your packet, I provided a memo for you that offers a background of the public information officer position. Its emphasis on using digital media to help communicate to the community and residents. And then I also provided to you methods that we've used so far to outreach to our residents, what we've been doing through social media, as well as direct mailers to provide examples for you on what's been working for us and what I'm doing in the background. So to start, I am going to use this packet, which is titled Communications Department Overview and Goals. That's going to be the bulk of what I will be talking with you about this evening. And then also there was additional attachments that I gave you that I'll also go over briefly with you as well. So starting on the first page, I developed a mission statement. That mission statement reads that the communications department is providing a centralized communications sharing strategy for our employees and the community, that we are building community engagement strategies that allows for two-way communication to strengthen relationships, that we're bringing awareness to the city's identity, and then obviously that we're supporting both the city and police departments with public relations. On the next page, I have a list of primary responsibilities for the department. This includes marketing, branding, social media, graphic design, video production, web services, public relations, media relations, public outreach, and event planning. On the next page, I have a list of communications channels. So this is typically what we're using so far to do outreach to our community, as well as the media. So obviously we utilize social media, our news flash and e-newsletter, our website. We also do direct mailers, flyers. And then lastly, I listed a RAP alert, and this is just kind of an asterisk, again, as a reminder that this is an emergency notification app. These are discussions that I have with PD of the types of resources we have available to communicate to people in the event of a serious emergency. Well, all emergencies are serious. So in the event of an emergency, iPause is also another tool that the county has that we can use. Most recently, Inglewood used iPause to communicate to people during their water boil alert that they had. And that basically just blasts everyone's text message or cell phone like an Amber Alert. With a RAP alert, people who have a cell phone do have to opt in to that application. So during my county communicators meetings, we talk a lot about trying to get people to sign up for that application. But if you have a landline, it's automatic. They'll just go ahead and do like a reverse 911. So we do have two programs available that we can use. I think iPause might be the better one, but in the event that we have to deploy either one, that will be something that the police department decides to do. But just keeping that on your radar, that we do have emergency notification systems in place. So we're not just blasting out on social media to shelter in place. On the next page, I have digital communication. So as part of this position, there was a huge emphasis on making sure that we're using digital media as a way to communicate. So kind of transitioning from print and doing more digital communications. When I first started, I wanted to get an idea from residents how they're getting their information and asking them how they would like us to communicate. So that way I could get an idea of what's working for them and if they're even using technology to get information. So I conducted a small survey through our stormwater billing mass mailing that we do every year. And through that, I was able to learn some more information. So 49.5% of respondents said that they would like to receive updates from the city electronically through our news flash. So I think that that was very positive to know that they're very much in tune with getting those digital notifications. And then 34.5% of respondents to the survey said that they receive information through TV or mail. And then another 32.5% said that they receive information online. So that showed me that people are using both traditional and digital, more modern practices of getting information, right? They're getting it through mail, through TV, as well as through their email. So that kind of helped show me that, you know, people are in tune and that we are going down the right path of trying to transition to more digital communications. On the next page, I have a snapshot of our current digital following. This does incorporate social media as well as our news flash and newsletter. These numbers have since increased. So we do increase our numbers weekly, and I pieced out the city's following versus PD's following. Overall, I think things are very healthy. I've had conversations with even the mayor about them trying to help with social media before I even came on board. So all of those efforts have been very helpful in trying to keep us alive. But we are kind of starting from scratch a little bit. Nextdoor is not listed on here, but we are on Nextdoor, and currently we have a little over 1,700 members. There's really no way for me to do like an online ads campaign to get people to follow us. That's just going to have to be word of mouth, that if you're on Nextdoor, please follow us. So that'll be a continued goal. I did create a YouTube channel for both the city and the PD, and really we just use that as like a digital library. So we upload our city council meetings and then videos that we are creating internally. We will upload there as well. I'm not too concerned with like trying to get more subscribers or do any sort of advertising on YouTube. We're also on Twitter. Our following is, from the city side, pretty small, but again, I'm not too worried about that. I use Twitter mostly for the PD side. When we are trying to communicate to the media, they're going to follow Twitter to get updates from us. And so I use that to communicate to the media that way. And then I did start a LinkedIn page. So if you're on LinkedIn, please follow us. Please identify yourself as a city employee. So that way we can also create or grow our following that way and just kind of get all of our employees on board. And a lot of our officers are on LinkedIn too, and they're starting to integrate with our page. So that's really great. On the next page, I have social media engagement. So this is a big part of the communication strategy, is increasing our engagement on social media. An example I gave you of what has been successful was the Movie in the Park campaign that we did. We did a couple of campaigns. So we advertised to people that we were going to have a movie in the park, and then we asked them to vote on the kind of movie they wanted to see. And then we ran a campaign announcing what the winning movie was going to be. So both were very successful. We reached over 11,000 people. We had 89 shares. And then I also did a couple surveys with that as well. And so we had 162 survey responses from that. And then I also included just a snapshot of the type of engagement you want to see. So we had a lady who tagged her friend and said, "Hey, I voted for Encanto. We should all go." And then she tagged a couple more friends. So this helps to get the word out, and we want people to engage on our post and let us know what they're thinking and include their friends as well. On the next page, I have 2022 accomplishments. So what the communications department has done this year. Obviously, the big one is we launched our e-newsletter. So that was a huge initiative when I started back in 21, and we finally transitioned to that. We also implemented an accessibility tool on our website to assist with ADA compliance. So House Bill 1110 was passed last year, and that required governments to make sure that they have a website that's ADA compliant by July of next year. So we got ahead of the game. Civic Plus was able to find a vendor who could provide an accessibility tool. So if you go on our website, it's that blue icon with the white person in the middle. You click on that, you can change font sizes, you can change color contrast, you can do all sorts of stuff to help people who may have low vision, low hearing, and other disabilities as well. So we got that squared away. We also organized new public events, or brought back ones that we've tried in the past. So we wanted to see what residents felt about trying to bring in new events to kind of keep them busy during peak seasons, which is the summer. So we did Movie in the Park, and then we participated in Bike to Work Day. Both of these initiatives, again, kind of fit into the comprehensive plan, right? In terms of community engagement and special events, trying to come up with new ways that we could keep our residents engaged within our city and provide fun things for them to do. We increased our Facebook following by 45%. So that was a huge increase for us, and we will continue to grow that. And then from a branding perspective, the Sheridan Police Department participated in Sexual Assault Awareness Month in April. We decided to participate in the Start by Believing campaign, and we created a video where our officers, stated that when they hear that someone's been sexually assaulted, they're going to start by believing. So it was a really great video. And so I entered that into a video challenge, and we won longest format. So from a national point of view, that really helped with our branding to get our department out there, and to let people know what our police department believes in. So it was just really nice to get that recognition from a national perspective. So on the last page, I have major initiatives. And this is where we can really talk about your guys' ideas and provide feedback. So obviously increasing our digital following is always going to be an ongoing major initiative. The second one is defining our community engagement strategy and potential tools to help with that strategy. So kind of going back to the mission statement of building a communication strategy that allows for two-way communication. So we obviously want to communicate to our community what we're doing, but what can we do to kind of open up things so we can get their feedback and let us know what they think about the projects that we're doing, and making sure that when we have events like Movie in the Park or Sheridan Celebrates, that we're asking people, hey, what did you think of this event? What don't you like about this event? What can we do to make things better? So we're always asking for their input to help govern our decisions and our ideas. The third one is improving existing events and exploring adding new ones. So for example, Coffee with Council, and looking at ways that we can revamp that. Obviously with exploring adding new ones, again, adding Movie in the Park. We wanted to do that as a trial run to see if residents liked it. Is this something that we could turn into a series? Do we want to do it once a month throughout the summer, or maybe every Friday for a month? Seeing what we can do to, again, engage our residents more. Sheridan Celebrates is a great event. It happens in September, as you all know, but again, looking at the peak seasons, what else can we offer to our residents throughout the year to kind of provide I lost my train of thought, to provide, fun activities for them to do. So they're not always going outside the city, right? Looking at what Inglewood is doing, what is Littleton doing, and trying to offer some of the same activities here in our community. And then lastly, I have writing a communications plan. So that's where I'm kind of asking you guys how you would like this communications plan to work. Typically, a comms plan is going to clearly define your messages and your priorities, your strategies, and the tools that you're going to be using. It's also going to be used to help communicate internally and externally with the community, the communications plan. We also want it to align with the city's comprehensive plan and its mission. In a communications plan, we can certainly identify what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are, opportunities that we may have, and sort of our challenges. So it's very similar to the overview I just provided you here, but it can be a little bit more in depth. There's also a community engagement plan that we could also create as well. And usually that's typically used internally to help guide other departments when they are seeking public input for projects. I think our departments are really great at seeking that public input, and they know what they can do, but we can certainly add that into the communications plan. So maybe we could create an overall communication strategic plan in which we're combining a communications plan of what is our strategy, how are we going to do this, but then also incorporate that community engagement and defining that two-way input that we would like to seek, if that's something that you would like to see. So yeah, I mean, that's basically all I have for that presentation. In terms of the additional attachments I gave you, this was just something for you to go over. I provided you a survey that I did for the Movie in the Park when people were voting on what movie they wanted to see, just asking them basic questions. Would you like to see more events like this in Sheridan? Again, asking them, are you interested in a digital newsletter? Making sure that that digital technology is something that they're in tune with. And then I did provide results for you through a pie chart. I'm a very visual person from the stormwater billing. So you can see some of the responses that we got. Where did you get your information from? And to see the responses being overwhelmingly online, as well as TV and mail, followed by social media, and then lastly, print. The second one was, how would you like to receive updates from the city? My favorite part here was that under other, I had people say, I don't want you to contact me at all, or like, I want a letter. So But overwhelmingly, people wanted news flash alerts and they wanted the e-newsletter. So again, wanting that digital communications. And then I also provided to you a snapshot of what our social media engagement has looked like so far. I pulled this in late April. I pulled this from Hootsuite, which is our social media scheduling software that we use to schedule out our posts. This is something that I could do quarterly if you guys are interested in seeing how things are going. I've included in this snapshot like our most engaging posts on all of our platforms. You can see our new fans, how many times we're posting, the percentage of post engagement, as well as our website clicks. And then you can see our fan trend, which we always want that to go upward. And I separated again city from PD. So the first packet includes the snapshot for the city, and then the second packet is for PD as well. So just some analytics and metrics that we could start playing with if that is something that you are also interested in seeing.
I like it.
Cool. Okay, great. So at this time, I wanted to ask you, do you want to have a communication strategic plan? Do you like the idea of defining our strategy? And do you want to incorporate some community engagement and kind of think outside the box a little bit of what we can do to receive more input from residents? I mean, do you want to hear more from residents?
I think it makes sense to, to overlap them and work them together, like you were saying.
Yeah, I think so
It-
too.
I think it would be probably the easiest way, rather than try to do one later or whatever.
Right, or having two separate
Or
plans.
two separate plans. just
Yeah.
Overlap and, does that makes sense, right?
I think I definitely like to see more surveys and more outreach on, and I guess also just, keep trying to sign people up, kind of like,
Sure.
you've done with the Park Paloozas, get out there and get people to sign up. And then, if you have an opportunity, do a little survey at some of those events or, Sheridan Celebrates or whatever, and see what people are looking for, how they want to engage with us, what kind of events they're interested in,
Yeah. Yes, I think that's all great.
if they ever want to hear from council or if they just want
Don't care.
to pretend like we don't exist.
Right? Do you want to hear from city council? Yes. Okay. No, I think that's really great. I think combining both plans, I think would be a little bit better. I don't think we need a separate plan that helps departments figure out how to do public input. I think everyone pretty much knows how to do that. And I think with planning and zoning too, that's part of their process, is to gather feedback as well.
Yeah.
So I can tailor some of that down to combine that with a communications plan. And then of course, the quarterly social media reports, the analytics and the metrics. Do you guys want to see more of that I could just maybe stick as a memo into packets, or I can present to you like I am now? Is there any analytics that you would like to see more of?
The report you included was great. So if you just wanted to run those again, I
Okay,
think that
excellent. Yeah.
it's a pretty quick read. So it's not adding a lot to our packet.
Okay. Just kind of add that as a memo and
Yeah. But if
Okay.
there's, things besides social media that you want to update us on, I think
sure.
a memo is a good way to do that. You're here anyway, but so if you
Yeah.
wanted to do a presentation, that's fine. But, I
Mhm.
think if you don't always plan to be here, a memo is just as welcome,
Okay. What do you like about the idea of improving city events and exploring new ones? Because I know this year things got a little disorganized. We weren't really on the same page. So kind of looking at movie in the park, is that something that you would like to see next year? Do you want me to explore expanding that and providing budget proposals as we have our budget discussions this year to kind of get an idea?
Yeah, I think it looked like it was pretty successful. I think you could probably slate it again for next year. And then, like I was saying, see what else people might be interested in.
Do more
I
surveys.
think,
at
we've
Sheridan.
talked about the fact that we used to have a holiday event and we don't have a holiday event anymore. I don't know if that's something people miss or not. Maybe they don't care.
Like pancakes with Santa Claus, or what did you guys have in the past?
It
Like a
was
chili dinner?
Spaghetti or chili dinner.
Yeah.
It was in conjunction with the school district.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And South
Yeah.
Suburban.
So they would bring in like carolers, or they had reindeer one year, and then people would get a meal. And what else was there at that? I don't remember. Yeah.
Make a little.
Yeah. Christmas snake.
I don't
I've never heard of
I
that.
don't remember the snake.
Christmas snake.
It's sad that
Yeah.
that tradition has fallen to the wayside.
I guess so. I was thinking like pancakes with Santa Claus. I never thought of the
snake.
Christmas snake.
Well, that is a good idea.
Yeah,
They also did, they had carolers
sure.
and that kind of stuff. And those are the kind of things that over the years have gone by the wayside one way or the other. But it's something that maybe we as a city can start taking back up.
Yeah, and I think, you know, to have the discussions of events and making sure that we're not overwhelming ourselves, not overwhelming staff and not overwhelming you. And I think maybe trying to pick out like, these are the events we're going to have rather than just it being a free for all would just be my recommendation.
Yeah,
So,
I would encourage us to be very deliberate about events.
yes.
Coming from my previous manager's job in Dillon, where we had an enormous number of events, and it almost became like a contest. Oh, let's think up no event. And it was, it got to the point where you were spending a lot of time on effort on things that weren't necessarily, the community wasn't necessarily buying into them. They weren't really thought through, and they were eating up a lot of resources. So I would encourage us to just be very deliberate about that. Not that we can't do it, but let's be very deliberate about it.
What a good idea of maybe doing a yearly calendar of what we want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
I think that would be part of it.
And that way you've got it planned out
Mhm.
and you can't sneak one in till the next year. And,
Yes.
that way maybe you do one event a month. And sometimes we do more, but
Mhm.
I mean, we've already got, we got the car show, we got National Night Out.
Mhm.
So we can see how we can add to that calendar. But once again, we've got to make sure we don't overburden ourselves and you guys.
I agree. Yes. Yeah.
I think it would be helpful, and I don't know if you talked with Jean about this, to see if you can get some feedback on the park events and see.
Right.
Because just like you said, with the movie in the park was kind of your pilot program for
Mhm.
this year. That was a kind of a pilot program for Sheridan Celebrates running additional events, and so the question would be, is that something we want to continue next year? And do we want to do it the same way if we
Yeah,
do,
Mhm.
Yeah, I think the movie in the park was great. Yeah, even when I posted it on Facebook, a lot of people liked it. They were replying on it and things of that nature. So I think that, when you do something that's on like an annual level,
Mhm.
that, everyone knows like it's always going to be at this time. When you do it on an annual level, kind of like the cars, it's on an annual level.
Yeah, and we did it right at the beginning of June as a way to kind of kick off the summer.
Yep.
And then, maybe we could kind of keep that going a little bit and then see what we want to do throughout the summer. And like I said, we could turn that into a series if you wanted to. The City of Golden will do it every Friday throughout, I think, like the month of July or August.
Right.
Or if we just want to, again, start small, gather more feedback to get ideas from residents. What would you like to see more of? Because we think of stuff, right? Live music and a beer garden and all that, but maybe people don't want that. So that's something that I could start doing for this upcoming Sheridan Celebrates. I'll make it my goal to get out there and ask people questions, and we can even do it online too and just create a survey.
Well, and even on your movie in the parks, would you like to see more events? It was 99.28% said
Yeah.
yes. So that tells me that, yeah, our citizens would really like, to be, and I think that with like the whole COVID thing and the pandemic and people wanting to get out there, that they're looking for that community connection again, where, before it seemed like, they just scatter and go whatever. There's been a light, like the event that we had at our park, that was great. And then we had the and some of those same people were right there. They were all, they all kind of just showed up and saw that, there was a food truck and the next thing you know, there was a whole bunch of people there, which I was impressed, to be honest with you. And the school district has the back to school barbecue that was last Wednesday. There was a whole bunch of, and I think it's just people wanting to get out and, get back into that fabric of community that has been kind of lost for a bit.
Yes,
So-
I agree. And we had the family nights
Right.
through Sheridan Rec Center and Sheridan Inspire and everyone coming together to put those
Yeah,
on.
those have
So
been really successful.
yeah,
too,
people wanted to definitely get out and do stuff this
Mhm.
summer. So that was really good to see.
It's,
Um,
not real expensive, I think that's a driving force,
Yeah.
Yeah,
as
and even
well,
for the
yeah.
movie in the park, for the one that we did, so with the vendor and the cost of the food truck, it was just a little over $3,000, as well as the porta potties. So I feel like that was kind of a cheap event. You had 3 or 4 staff members there to help run it, and then PD showed up as well. So it didn't take a lot of effort, right? And I think the vendor was great, and they've done this 1,000 times, so they kind of handled everything. And so it was a cheap event, I think, to put on. If we wanted to do more, then obviously prices will increase, or if we wanted to add more food trucks and offer variety. But, I think in terms of cost, it was very, very doable. So
Would it be, if you, the same vendor and said, hey, we want to do this, like 4 times during the summer, does the cost go down?
that's what I was interested to in figuring out, that if we do it more than once, if there's a little bit
Do
of
they
a
give you a discount?
discount
Yeah.
for that. And then obviously with the food trucks, I had to turn some people away because I don't know how the word got out, but a lot of food trucks were showing up, and obviously we have a process in place. You can't just set up shop. But again, it was good to see that when you throw a large event, everyone's coming.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of opportunity there to bring that on. And I was even approached by local businesses like, hey, can we do sponsorships with you? Valley View even reached out, and they offered to bring food and volunteers and whatever I needed to kind of help with the event. So that was nice to see too. Like everyone just kind of came together and said, hey, what can we do to help you? So that was very positive too.
Well, that's what community is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
For
I
sure.
would definitely encourage you to keep looking at the partnerships too,
Yeah.
because like I know the Sheridan Library had floated having a movie
Mhm.
like projected on their wall. And
Yeah.
it's like, maybe they would host some of them and the city hosts
Right.
some, or
Mhm.
co-host them at different locations or whatever, might work.
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be a great thing to do.
Mhm.
So I'll come up with some ideas and then definitely circulate a survey. And then again, maybe at the end of the year, I can come back and we can talk about maybe creating a yearly calendar and kind of get an idea of.
I
where
got
we want things.
I got a lot of ideas.
I mean,
Uh-oh.
feel free to send them
Yeah.
my way
I
and.
have a lot of ideas.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
You know what I
Uh-oh.
mean?
Yeah.
Devin's like, no, not too many
Yeah,
ideas.
I know.
No,
And-
I mean,
and
I
I'm
mean, I
happy
do.
to see that, and I would like to help this council do some events. I will say again, we have to be deliberate about this.
Yes.
We do not have a staff that can work every single night and every single weekend.
Right.
We do not.
Yeah. Well,
We don't
like,
have an event.
like I
staff.
said, most of my events will always be like on an annual level.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like when you look at South Gaylord Street and how they have a certain area blocked off for trick or treating. We
Right.
can do the same thing.
we
I'm
could.
talking about something like that, a safe
would be
zone trick or
Yeah.
treating area. Same thing that they have. We
Stuff
can have
that's
the same
simple,
thing.
easy, low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
It doesn't really take a lot of staff,
Mm-mm.
you set up a couple of cones and get
Yeah.
the community involved.
Yeah, and I
and
mean,
you're done.
that's a community. That's a community thing. You know what I mean? It'll get everybody in the spirit. They'll know that this whole area over here is a safe zone for trick or treating, and get more of the community involved. And that's one thing that I'm thinking of. But I do have a lot, but they're all like on an annual level. It's not like something I'm just like, hey, you know what? Let's do this.
Sure.
Next week, a movie in the park, Scarface. No, the park will be packed though.
Right.
Yeah.
An older adult movie in the park. Yeah. Yes.
Let's all go back to 1978.
Do
Yeah.
throwbacks.
Yeah, I got a lot of ideas.
Yeah. And I think, getting, like I said, more organized and making sure that we're being well defined and what it is we want to do I think will help out a lot of things. And I know that you guys have your initiatives with Park Palooza and getting out there too. So just keeping that conversation going, I think will be very helpful. But other than that, that's all I had. And I asked all of my questions. Is there anything else that you wanted to ask or any comments?
I just want to say
concerns?
thank you for all your work so far
Yeah.
since you've
Thank
been
you.
here. It's just been so exciting to have someone in your role to be able to get the voice of the city out there to everyone as
Thank
much
you.
as they want it.
Yes, as much as they want it, aside from the don't contact me at
Yes.
all or send me a letter. Yes, thank you. It's been a really great opportunity. So I'm happy to be here.
So one thing that I had thought of about the newsletters
Mhm.
are our business cards that we get. Could we get like the link or whatever put on that to sign up for the e-newsletter? So then we hand it out, they'll have the link there for our e-newsletter.
Well,
and
I was
then there'll be
thinking
a
like the
spot.
same thing how South Suburban does. They have that little
The
barcode
barcode.
thing.
The
that you
QR
just
code?
put your
Yeah, yeah.
phone, you know,
Oh, yeah,
put your
yeah.
phone to it, and then the link pops up right then and there.
Mhm.
I mean,
And then
I
they
always
can
like
just
that.
sign up that easy.
Sign up that easy
Yeah.
instead of having to go and type it out. See, that's the thing that a lot of people don't want to do. They don't want to go and type something out. They'd rather just be able to put their phone to it, scan it, click the button and say, there we go.
Especially as long as our URLs are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, and I try to create like masking URLs
Mhm.
to shorten it up a little bit, but
Yeah.
yeah. I'll think of other stuff too. And I think I've talked with Councilman Whitaker about just the form itself. You know, he was like, it's kind of confusing. So thinking of some ideas for that as well. To
You could
make
put
it easier.
the QR code on our badges.
Just scan me for the
Yeah,
newsletter.
yeah, if you want to, turn it over on the back, just here you go, go ahead. And
Yeah.
because I'm just being creative here because
Tattoos of our.
Yeah, we get.
we could get tattoos.
I appreciate the support.
Here, just go ahead.
Yeah, scan me. Well, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Next up, we have Teresa, revenue projections and fee schedule.
So this is the beginning of our annual effort of going through and working our way through the budget. And the way Teresa and I like to do it is that we schedule some work session time, probably 3 or 4 to 5, depending on how much we need to review with you, and schedule those throughout the fall here really, and aim towards having a draft budget ready for presentation to the council, usually middle of October-ish, somewhere around in there, and then look at adoption of the budget generally November. I think we generally shoot for our first meeting in November to try and look at budget adoption. And that does a few things for us. It gives us a little bit of wiggle room. We have to be adopted right by the end of the year. That's state law. So if we're aiming in early November, that gives us some wiggle room if we need to change something, if something unexpected happens, if we head into another pandemic, who knows? It gives us a little wiggle room to change the budget, make any last minute changes before we have to have adoption by the end of the year. So that's roughly our schedule. And we start with revenues. And Teresa and I can put on our crystal ball and see what do we see going into next year for the revenue projections. And we are generally, as you who have worked with us before, very conservative on this. And this is our first blush that you'll see with this presentation here, and know that it will change before we get to adoption. We will adjust revenues, especially once we get some more mid-year reports in for our revenues and see how we're trending, as well as when we receive expenditure requests in from the department. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Teresa.
Sorry. So anyway, as I was saying, the revenues are pretty consistent here at the city. So things, your sales tax, your property tax, things are very consistent. So when we look at it year to year, we're looking at how you can see this past year, where we're going, what has happened. And so we just go from there. I am super glad that Devin is conservative. It makes my life a little easier. Because there's nothing worse than putting numbers out there and we get 6 months down the road and we've spent money that we don't have. So this is conservative. As Devin said, what will happen is so we'll do budget work sessions in September, both meetings in September, the first meeting in October, and then we'll bring the first reading the last meeting of October. And what we will do is at that meeting, what I do is I bring what I put in there is we've had 2 more months of revenue by that point. And so I update our revenue projections. And then in my memo, I will tell you what we updated from this meeting. So, and it always gives us a little bit better idea where we're going. So, like I said, the main things in my memo, the SRA expense reimbursement, which how they reimburse the city is based on reimbursing for like the city clerk, for the, our community development. So it's based on what we budget for salaries and benefits and everything for next year. So I just put in 3%. We're kind of doing this at the same time because at the same time we're adopting the general fund. So kind of chicken before egg, cart or horse or whatever we do. So public improvement fee, I'm putting 3% there as well. The only other 2 things that you're going to see that are significantly down is the grants. They're one-time monies. And so the bus stop grant will be done this year. I did not budget the American Rescue Plan next year just because we're showing that all as revenue this year. So that's how we put it on there. As far as trying to think, there really just wasn't a lot there. The one thing that Devin had sent me an article and we are actually seeing it. The marijuana revenues went up, the marijuana excise tax. That's kind of starting to plateau. I think it kind of hits peak a little bit and as more stores open. So we're kind of plateauing back down. We kind of went up, I think, during the pandemic. People were needing happy places maybe. So that's the other thing that's kind of leveled off a little bit. But really pretty consistent. So did you have any questions on any line items or what we're doing?
Before we get to questions, Teresa, I just wanted to touch on that a little bit more. So if you'll notice, if you look at the marijuana under revenues, and I'm on the spreadsheets that are included in your packet, and I'm in the one that is the adopted and projected, as well as the 23 proposed revenues. If you look out there, our marijuana sales excise tax, which is a 5% tax right now, and it shows out we budgeted for this year a little over 500,000, and we're projecting we're not going to quite get there. Is what we're seeing right now, right, Teresa?
Right.
Yeah. So we're not only plateauing, I think we're seeing it kind of drop down a little bit, and we're seeing across Denver was seeing around a 20% reduction, I believe it was, in their revenues, as well as kind of statewide, seeing a lot of that. And it's from the industry experts, they really do feel that it's a combination of a few things. So we've had some market adjustments, but it's really a leveling, as Teresa said. It's more of a plateauing of the market in Colorado. It was gangbusters, right, forever. And now it's starting to kind of drop. They don't foresee there being an extended drop, but more of a leveling out and a plateauing there. The other thing I'll say is on the revenue, on the tax side of things. Well, one other thing on marijuana. We did, when we passed our excise tax with marijuana, we made it I'm not sure what the terminology is, Bill, but it's a variable. We can, by a vote of the council, you can adjust the rate. I believe we capped it at 10%. Is that correct, Bill? Thank you. So right now it's at 5%. You can, by a vote of the council, you can raise that up to 10%. You could also lower it depending on how you want. So it is a tax that you can have adjustments to. Denver is looking at making an adjustment to theirs going into next year, is my understanding. And if that is the case, we might not want to look at raising ours because we might have a competitive advantage of having a lower tax rate at that point. But something to keep in your back of your head long term, with this tax is that, depending on how the market settles out, you might want to look at making adjustments down the road. I would not recommend that we do it going into next year, but we might consider it the year after that. With that said, the other main tax that we have is the general fund sales tax. And as you'll see, we're projecting right now of just being flat. We're looking at where are we going to be at the end of this year and just continuing that projection moving forward. So it's a flat projection. And that's why you'll see a 0%. You'll see a lot of these are zeros on there on the changes. That means we're looking at going flat from where we project being at the end of this year and projecting that forward then into next year. We're seeing right now worldwide inflation. We are still seeing impacts to supply chain and supply chain issues that are still a hangover from the pandemic. We are seeing fluctuating gas taxes, which don't hit us as much. We do have some get with that, but that does have a tendency on impacting retail sales and retail buying of people. We are seeing retail buying start to dip a little bit. It was unbelievable, right? It continued through the pandemic and all through this past year at really kind of unbelievable rates. I was amazed the way that our sales tax has come in over the past few years, or past couple of years. And we have always trended up, and I'm just not quite there. Teresa and I are both like saying, we are looking at each other across our desk on, I'm not quite there yet on saying, all right, I feel I can buck it up a couple percent or something along those lines. We're still looking at trending that way, but until we get a few more months of numbers and maybe we hear a little bit more about how inflation is trending right now, we'll see. And as I've always told you guys, right, the budget is not written in stone. It's a snapshot. It is a document that helps guide your expenditures. It is a snapshot in time. The day after you adopt this, it's out of date, right? It just is. That's the nature of budgets. So we always look at this as we'll be moving into next year, and we take mid-year looks at things and we say, how are we looking? What are we looking at? Remember, this is how we handled and how we dealt with code enforcement. I was like, I wasn't quite sure. Not that we didn't need it, but I wasn't sure how things were going along. There was still the last few years, there's been a lot of uncertainty, right, for financial people and looking at budgeting. But we were able to say, hey, look, things like I said, it's coming in much better than I thought it was. So yeah, we can bring on that code enforcement officer. And so we can look at doing mid-year adjustments and do those kind of things as we move along. So just because something doesn't get into a budget at this point doesn't mean it can't happen, right? It just means, to Teresa's point, I don't want to plan for it, start spending money on it, and then have it not happen, and not have to come back to you and go, I'm really sorry, but we got to cut our budget. We have to cut expenditures. I'd rather come back to you in the middle of the year saying, yep, we can afford to have that extra code enforcement officer. Yep, we can afford to buy a couple more police vehicles or whatever it might be. So that's why I am conservative in the way I budget and the way we project for that.
So I'm curious, I think I might have asked about this last year too, but I'm curious about the court line items. So, I mean, they keep going down, and we talked last year about, does that mean, everyone's being good now? And so we're not making any money off these things. But I'd like to understand why they keep trending down.
Yeah, and Teresa and I were actually talking about that last week. We're looking at that court line item going, just look
There's
at it.
3 of them.
You look over the history. If you look back to 2013 on it, it's significant.
Yeah, it's like a quarter of what it used to be.
Yeah.
For most of these, or half for the court costs.
Yeah.
Like a quarter for the fines, like maybe a third for the surcharge. So what's happening?
Right. And I think we need to look into that and have a little bit of discussion. Some of it has been, my understanding has been sentencing, is that there hasn't been as many fines issued. And that's more or less at the discretion of the court. And something that is separate from us on that as well. But we've had a discussion. We need to have a more in-depth look, and we will, and
Yeah.
come
I
back.
mean, it's not that I want, the judge to start cracking
Right.
down on people and start issuing fines. I'd just like to understand
Right.
Right.
if there's been kind of a change in how he operates,
Yeah.
that maybe we ought to be aware of.
One concern that all the courts are dealing with, you can no longer issue warrants for monetary matters. So one enforcement tool that they had to collect money, the courts don't have.
Oh, gotcha.
The courts
And
don't
that's
have,
had
is that
an
what you
impact.
said? Sorry, I couldn't.
Well, you can no longer issue warrants for monetary amounts that are not due. So that's impacted the ability to collect fines.
Okay.
So.
Well, I mean, I'd just like to hear more about that, I guess, if that's
Yeah.
what's going on.
And we can definitely get a better picture of what has happened over time there. And as the city attorney said, there has been some changes in the law that have impacted things.
Okay.
But
And do we like match that to their expenses at all, or do we just cover the same expenses even if their revenues?
No, it's not, it all goes into the general fund pot. No, we don't look at it being like a utility fund or
Right.
something where it's self-sustaining.
Yeah.
No, we don't tie those things together. Well, we do look, and it's been a long time since I looked, is like, what percentage of your overall general fund revenues come from fees and fines?
Mhm.
And there for a while, we were, maybe if you compared us in the metro area, we were in maybe the higher third of that. And I would say it's significantly dropped down now, and probably in the lower third of where that is. But I can get some data from like CML and others, and we can take a look at that. And as Bill pointed out, some of that's going to be trending, and just that's business as usual now at municipal courts. And yeah, or is there something else that's happening here in ours too?
Yeah, and I think I would hope that would be helpful for you as well, for your
Yes,
planning.
absolutely.
To know if there's something that's consistently going to keep pushing these down over time.
Yeah, that was a huge drop.
Mhm.
I'll tell you what's been staying on that same level though, that red light, that radar, that red light, that thing, the revenue's been pretty even until COVID.
Mhm.
That photo radar, that red light don't play.
No.
Well, and a lot of that actually for what we're looking at is we've got new equipment and a new contractor. And so we'll be increasing through those efforts. We should see an increase on our revenue side by switching out from the previous vendor that we had and using a new vendor, and we're getting a better contracted amount out of that vendor. Chief can
Better
speak to that.
contract amount, and the technology of the new equipment is much better. So we're still catching the same number of people, but we're able to hold more accountable
Yeah.
because of the face recognition, et cetera. So it's still all aimed at keeping our school zones and our construction zones safe. I mean, that's our number one thing. But before, people were getting the flash, and they should have got a ticket, but our technology wasn't good enough to actually capture who they were. And we're not going to send out any tickets that we can't tell who people are. So that was one of the reasons, and the reason we moved forward, that Devin helped us go forward with that. The company helped us get the better technology, and we also worked a better rate. So hopefully that'll help.
Well, see, I was hoping that, because I go and get grandkids and take them to school, and they were out this morning, which has been awesome. I've seen the van out here, in the school zone, but people see, they know, and they slow down, which is, I'm like, this is cool. Everybody's slowing down. The van must be up here. And sure enough, there was the van. But on that line, the school zone lights, why are they not flashing at 7:30 in the morning? Just a
Probably
quick
haven't been
question before I
programmed. What do
forget.
you think?
We'll have to, sometimes those go on and off on us.
Yeah, they're actually just set up to work during specific times. That's regulated by CDOT out on Federal. Ours on Oxford and over in the other school zones, it's actually set up from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then from 2 to 4.
Right, but the ones on Federal CDOT,
Yeah, those are maintained.
they
and
obviously
operated
don't know
by
what time
CDOT.
school starts. Gotcha. Okay.
We'll send them an email and let them know that they need to be synced up if they're not at the moment.
Yeah, no. 'cause,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on the road at like 20 minutes after 7, zipping down Federal to go get.
Okay.
And of course, the whole design of that photo radar is to slow people down. I mean, so it's
Absolutely.
doing its job.
So yeah, I'm okay with it not, if with it leveling out. If it starts going up, that means that there are people racing in school zones and construction zones, and we don't want that.
We've had a lot more incidents with the First Amendment auditors coming in and disrupting, the service of the photo radar ban. So we've had to stop and move to another location. Sometimes they go look for us and they find us at another location. So that's a continual problem that we're having. We are addressing that and seeing if there's something that we can do, but they are going to, they'll continue to affect. And I'm not talking about the revenue. I'm talking about slowing people down. If we can't have those vans there, people will start speeding through here like a racetrack. So he thinks he's doing people a favor by saying, here's illegal tickets and et cetera. It's not illegal. We all know that. It's been through. What it's doing though is keeping our area safe, and they are interfering with that. So
The last thing I want to point out am I on? Yeah, I'm on. Is that if you look at us where we are overall on total revenues other than one-time and grant revenue, so we're looking at still like right around a 2% increase, correct, Teresa? Where we're looking at, okay. And then we will also, we'll look at that again, and we'll look at it several times before adoption. So and then as Teresa said, what we really do is we'll come over and go over every revenue line item again. We'll say, hey, we adjusted this one because of this factor or that factor, and let you know before we get to adoption. Anything else, Teresa, that you had?
More questions?
Council, any questions on revenues? And again, we're going to have from now through October, pretty much we'll be talking budget at almost every single work session. So you'll have time. If you have questions between now and then, you can always give me a call. You can give Teresa a call, shoot her an email, anything like that, any budget questions that you have. We're in that time of year and in that process again. So we'll be writing next year's date on stuff already because we're thinking our brains will be in next year.
Great. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I don't think we have time for a review of agenda items, so we'll cover that in the regular meeting.
Yeah,
if
we
that's
can
all
do
right.
that way, Mayor. Absolutely.
We'll adjourn our work session at 7 p.m. Does anyone need a break or can we move on?
I'm good.
Okay. Can I ask Gisela to give us another introduction before we start our regular meeting?
Thank you. Hello again. My name is Gisela Escobedo with the Community Language Co-op. And one more time, thank you for your commitment to language justice. Thank you for giving an opportunity where people can participate and engage in the language of their heart, the language that they feel most comfortable in. That is the language that they practice at home. To create this space, we're going to be using simultaneous interpretation. So when I finish saying this in Spanish, we will turn on interpretation. You will see a globe icon and you will select your preferred language. If you're from a phone or a tablet, it has 3 dots on the bottom of your bar that says more. You can click on it and then you can select your language as well. If you're going to be presenting or facilitating, please be aware of your speed, knowing that Spanish takes 20 to 25% longer than English. Hola a todas las personas nuevamente. Mi nombre es Gisela con la Community Language Co-op y una vez más gracias a los organizadores de este evento por su compromiso a la justicia del lenguaje. Gracias por crear una oportunidad donde las personas pueden participar e involucrarse en el idioma de su corazón o en el idioma en el que se sienten más cómodos. Para esto vamos a estar usando la interpretación simultánea, así que cuando termine de decir esto, prendemos la interpretación y usted va a ver el icono de un globo en la barra de abajo de su pantalla que dice interpretación. Si estás desde un teléfono o una tableta, vienen 3 puntitos que dice más o more y ahí puedes seleccionar tu idioma. Por favor, sé consciente de tu velocidad si vas a estar hablando o presentando. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. You can go ahead and turn on interpretation.
Thank you very much. I'll call to order this regular meeting of the Sheridan City Council for August 22nd, 2022. The time is 7:03 p.m. Can I get a motion to excuse Councilmember Kelly's absence at the July 25th meeting?
I thought we did that.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilmember Whitaker, seconded by Councilmember Daigle. All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Okay, thank you very much. I think we excused Councilmember Smith's last time, not
Okay.
Kelly's.
I thought we did.
If you'll remember, last meeting was that kind of great. The mayor had COVID and she was remote and we were just kind of all over the place on that last meeting. So, yeah.
Okay. Can I get a roll call for tonight, please?
Yes. Councilmember Hall,
Present.
Stang,
Here.
Daigle,
Here.
Mayor Biderfleur,
Here.
Councilmember Whitaker,
Present.
Smith,
Here.
Kelly.
Here.
You have a quorum, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. We rise for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we just are so grateful once again to be able to gather behind the dais and to come together as a community in your presence, that our goals and our ideas and our plans are all about your people, Lord. And this is such a blessing that we're able to gather, and we don't take this freedom lightly, Lord. I ask, Lord, that you continue to just bless the city of Sheridan, bless our community, bless our staff here at City Hall, the police officers, EMTs, the fire department, those that keep us safe, and that are more concerned about sometimes about our safety than we are our own. What a gift. And just blessings over all of the men and women that are employed here at the city of Sheridan. As school starts, Lord, we just ask that, for a great blessing over our young people and our students as they return to school, to the teachers and the administration that will be in charge of leading them and guiding them and growing new community members and new individuals. We just ask for a great blessing over them and for their safety, Lord. And as always, we give you the praise. In your name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Okay. Madam Mayor, we are going to pull off resolution 21 of 2022 this evening.
And the reason for that is that after discussing the format of the contract that we had with that, for that agreement with Bridge House, we'd like to do a different form, and the city attorney's recommending that we do more of a grant type of a form rather than as a contract, like a service contract form. So we'll just pull that and we'll rework that and bring it back to you next time.
Great, thank you. Okay, and we'll move on to the financial reports. Can I get a motion to receive and file the financial reports?
Well, I'll make a motion to approve and file the financial reports.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Councilmember Hall and seconded by Councilmember Kelly. Is there any discussion or questions on the financial reports? Can we get a vote, please?
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Mayor Biderfluer,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Next, we have time for public comment. This is for anything that's not in our public hearing tonight. Anybody who would like to speak to council, feel free to come to the podium and state your name and address for the record, or if you're online, you can raise your hand and be recognized.
There's no one at this time, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. We'll move along then. Staff reports, city clerk.
Yes, I'd like to let you all know that Arlene has joined us remotely this evening, and she is anticipating being back with us here in a couple weeks. So Arlene, if you want to say hello.
She's probably having dinner because she's at home. That's what I'd be doing.
I should be, but I just wanted to say hi to everyone, and it's nice to see all of your lovely faces again, and I miss you a lot, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Good. Likewise, thank you. Thanks for being here.
Oh, you're welcome.
Right. Mr. Rubo, do you have anything else to share?
Not this time, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hashi,
No comments, Mayor.
it's nice to see you in person
Thank
in a
you.
few weeks. City manager, you got anything for us?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to touch on a handout that I put on your seats there. We had actually Sheridan hosted the mayors, managers, and commissioners meeting last week. And one of the things I discussed was the Arapahoe County Health Department and the transitioning from Tri-County Health to an Arapahoe County Health Department. And that's what this handout covers in there. I'm not going to go through all of it. I really just wanted you guys to have it as a kind of a little picture of where are we right now in that process. And to very quickly summarize, they're kind of moving in the third quarter right now. If you looked at this year and broke it up into quarters, they're in the third quarter, and the fourth quarter is the end of the year. So their goal is to be on January 1, be able to kind of turn the lights out on Tri-County and flip a switch and be Arapahoe County Health Department now. So that's their time frame they're working on. Where they are focusing on right now, and my takeaway was primarily two things. They're trying to get staffed up, and they've got the vast majority, I think, of their leadership staff. They've made the hires for that. So got those department heads and directors and got those folks, for the most part, I believe, in place. They are now working at transitioning staff and trying to hire people as well. I'd say, and Mary, you might remember better than me, I'd say they were probably still like 20, 30 people short, it sounded like.
She said like 30 to 30, maybe I'd been
A little bit more than
33
30.
openings.
Okay.
But I think she was saying, they don't want to do it all at once because some people, it may not be convenient to plan to have a new job that far out.
Right.
They can't really switch until later in the year.
Right, exactly. So they're working on that. And then the other aspect they're working on is their funding and making sure that they have their funding lined up. One thing's with the health department, they have kind of like a housing authority. They have multiple layers of funding. And so they have a lot that depends on grants. So where they are working furiously right now is trying to close their revenue gap. They have a little bit, they're projecting about a $2 million revenue gap right now. Let me see if I can find where that was in there. Yeah, if you look at, as you go through here, and again, I won't go through it all, they have some funding assumptions in here. So they're estimating about a $20 million budget, of which they have about 18 of it funded right now. So they got about a $2 million budget gap, and they're working on fixing that before the end of the year. So next steps that they're going to be moving on, they're going to still be going through and securing staffing. They have to go through the county budget process. which is going to be a learning curve for their personnel because they've not been through a county budget process. And I will tell you, their process is not easy. It's cumbersome and takes a little while. So they'll have the learning the ins and outs of that. And then I know they're finalizing some lease documents and things along those lines for facilities as well. So we're kind of in the stretch run, getting to where they're, you can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, but a few things that they need to wrap up, and that's where they are right now. So wanted to, again, have you guys have this, so in case you get questions or anybody is interested in, hey, where are we with our health department right now? It gives you a little idea, and you can give them that briefing right there. Other than that, Mayor, that's all I was going to cover right now. I'd be happy to answer any questions, though.
Do you want, since we're doing the public hearing on that insurance program, do we need to cover all of that within that public hearing? As far as your
Probably best.
introduction?
And I can summarize it. It's pretty straightforward
Okay.
at that point. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Chief.
Couple of quick things. Number one, thank you all for attending the award ceremony. That really meant a lot to all of our department, the men and women of our department, and reminded them how lucky they are to work for a city like this. So thank you again for all attending. That was wonderful. And then just to follow up on our Sheridan Police Department and our Night Owls car show, we finally got the figure that we're getting, that we're going to donate to Sheridan High School Student Assistance Fund. And it's actually $7,150. So we'll be able to help some students there. So thanks again for your support
right.
as well.
Right on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for me?
We're gonna try to do that annually, right?
Yes, that was the second one. We're going to try to do it annually.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right, thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Okay. Next, we have the minutes of the regular city council meeting of July 25th, 2022.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilmember Daigle and seconded by Councilmember Hall. Any discussion on the minutes? Can we get a vote, please?
Councilmember Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Mayor Biderfloor,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. The consent agenda, we have one item, authorized disbursements that have been or will be made from July 16th, 2022 to July 31st, 2022 in the amount of $630,675.12, and for August 1st, 2022 to August 15th, 2022 in the amount of $573,051.15 per the referenced and attached transfer of funds.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilmember Daigle and seconded by Councilmember Stang. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Can we get a vote, please?
Councilmember Daigle,
Yes.
Mayor Biderfloor,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Stang.
Yes.
Unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Next tonight, we have a public hearing. And the purpose of the public hearing is to receive comments regarding declination of participation in the state family and medical leave insurance family. So I will recess the regular meeting at 7:16 p.m. and enter into the public hearing at 7:16 p.m. to receive these comments regarding the declination of participation in the state family and medical leave insurance family. I'll enter the following exhibits into the record. Exhibit A, notice of public hearing sent via email to all employees on July 29th, 2022. And would you like to make some remarks on this?
Sure, I'd be happy to, Mayor. So all municipalities in the state are required to make a decision on what they want to do about this program. This program called Family, FAMLI, was passed by voters in November of 2020. And it was called Proposition 118 at that point. And what it does is that it establishes a family medical leave insurance program at the state level and mandates that municipalities as well as other businesses look at opting in and out. And so you're automatically opted in is the way that they have set this law up. And so if you don't want to participate in this program and have your employees participate in this program, you have to hold a public hearing and make a vote of the council to opt out. The recommendation that staff has in front of you today is that we do opt out. And there's several reasons for this. One, if you opt in at this point, you're opted in for 3 years. And this is a brand new program and nobody knows for sure exactly how it's going to work or if it's going to work well or function efficiently or not. Number two, and probably more important, is that we already provide a level of benefits to our employees that is superior to this program. We provide paid sick leave, paid vacation time, FMLA leave, short-term and long-term disabilities that are all at higher rates than are required by this program. So it's a better package of benefits for our employees. Employees can still opt to take this insurance, but they would have to pay. They would have to pay directly into the program. I think it'd be directly into the program at that point. It'd be like buying secondary insurance, you know, on a secondary insurance market if you wanted to do something like that. So they are welcome to do that if they want to, even though we decide that we would, as a municipality, opt out. We already make that available to our employees, secondary insurance through AFLAC. We have an AFLAC representative that meets on a regular basis with our employees that want to have that, should they make that decision, they want to buy supplemental insurance. So we already make provisions for that as well. What I will say is that most municipalities that I'm aware of are opting out at this point, in that for one of those reasons, like I just said, they either have a better benefit package, they are not sure about the program and how it will look, or any of those reasons that I said. That being said, you can opt back in anytime that you would like, right? So you can opt back in. Once you sign up right now, if you opt in right now or you don't decide to opt out, you are in it for 3 years and you can't get out of it, no matter how bad it is, I guess, suppose, or how impactful it is at any point. Regardless, now I've started to lose my train of thought. I mean, I was going like, so most municipalities are opting out. You can opt back in at any time. And the cost for this would be rather significant if we were to adopt it on top of our current package. It would be in the nature of between $20,000 and $30,000 additional each year. And that comes out from employees' paycheck as well as the city. I will say, the final thing I'll say is that I've talked to our department heads, and I've asked them, has any employees said anything about, wanting to have this, or are they concerned about this, or is this something they're interested in? I have not heard any of them say yes. So all of our employees that I have spoken to about this, none of them are interested in having the city participate in this program at this time. Yeah. So Meryl, that's all I'll say for this point right now. Bill, did you have anything that you needed to add, or?
No, just one point is, if a municipality participates, so what happens is the employee still pays what share they have to pay and the city pays the other part of the share. But they could still, even if the city does not participate, then the state would be the one paying that other share. So they could still participate and gain the benefit if they so decide.
They don't have to pay the whole freight.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyone else from staff who has comments?
And Mayor, let me just say, this is a little bit unusual, and this is a process that's been dictated by the state. We hold a public hearing on this and make sure that our employees have been notified. And I will say that our employees have all been notified per the requirements of this new law. So we made sure we gave plenty of notice prior to this. All of them are aware that you are discussing this evening, and all are aware that they can make comment should they so wish.
Thank you. Anyone else from staff want to comment?
Is Heather online? Heather, did you have anything? And Heather is our HR director. So Heather, And I know she's been working with Bill on this. Did you have anything to add?
Hi, good evening. No, nothing to add, other than I have not received any communication from staff about wanting to make comment tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Anyone on council have questions?
I mean, to me, this doesn't make sense if you already offered sick leave, annual leave, and FMLA already. Then what's the point of this? The way I see it, you know what I mean?
And I think the idea behind it was voters approved it with the thought of it would be mandated for those that don't provide benefits. And there are some out there, right? There is that. So that mandate came from the voters on that, but at least they did give us an opt-out. So they didn't say, oh, here, you have to use our program and one size fits all, because we have a better program for our employees and we want to keep using that.
Yeah.
I just realized I skipped over the most important thing, is I'm supposed to ask for comments from citizens and interested parties, which would probably include any employees who wanted to speak.
There you go.
So if there's anyone who'd like to speak on this, who's a citizen or interested party, please let us know. I don't see anyone.
I don't see
No one
anyone
online?
either. Yeah,
Okay.
no.
All right, any other questions from council? Comments? No? Okay, then we will close the public hearing at 7:24 p.m. Return to the regular meeting, where we have resolution number 20 of 2022. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sheridan, Colorado, declining participation in the State Family and Medical Leave Insurance Program.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 20 of 22.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilmember Hall and seconded by Councilmember Smith. Any further discussion on resolution number 20? Can I get a vote, please?
Mayor Biderfler,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Next, we have resolution number 19 of 2022. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sheridan, Colorado, approving an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Sheridan and the Board of Commissioners of Arapahoe County regarding the Bear Creek Trail Study Grant Project.
Yes, Mayor. So this is, again, and as council is aware that we received this Arapahoe County Open Spaces Planning Grant for Bear Creek. We've spent, quite a bit of time and effort studying a number of our corridors and areas. And when we decided that we needed to or wanted to apply for Bear Creek Trail study, we realized, we haven't really looked at Bear Creek that much in that trail. I don't know how many of you have been on it, but it could use some tender loving care, so this is the first step in doing a project or a process of improving that trail, is that you need to kind of go through and do a planning grant. You assess, what do you have? What do you want to improve? How are you going to do that? All those kind of things, because then you then follow that up and you go for a construction grant or something else, right? Through the next phases of this as well. So this is the beginning of this. It was a $100,000 grant. We'll be working together with South Suburban Parks and Rec to hire a contractor and a planning group to facilitate that process. We'll do public outreach, all those kind of things, right? And develop a nice plan then for our stretch of Bear Creek there. As part, anytime you receive an Arapahoe County Open Space Grant, you have to execute an intergovernmental agreement with them as to how you dispose and the disposition of the grant funds. This is the very same IGA that we approve every time we get a grant from them. No significant changes from things that we've seen, and we have no objection to the format of the IGA. And again, it is required for us to receive the grant award.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve it. Resolution 19 of 2022.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilmember Kelly and seconded by Councilmember Whitaker. Any discussion from council or questions?
I think it's really needed. It's that's not a very nice trail anymore. So needs some help.
Some tight spots
Mhm.
as you go along through there. Yeah.
Needs
Yeah.
some help.
I enjoyed reading the application actually, so I appreciate you having it in the packet. There was, I hadn't really thought about the fact that there was so much new going in, so many new developments that would be so close to the trail, you know? So that was really good read, I thought. And yeah, good photos showing the conditions. So very nice application.
Yeah, and I hope that will facilitate future applications
Mhm.
into Rapid County Up Spaces for improving that
Yeah.
trail corridor.
Mhm. Anybody else? Can we get a vote, please?
Councilmember Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Mayor Butterfly.
Yes.
Unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Next, we have the memo regarding the volunteer firefighters semi-annual report. Are you going to speak on that, Ms. Adler?
I turned on the microphone. We're good. It is required that the volunteer fire department in February and August report to the city council. Usually what it tries to work out is you've got your first 6 months and then in February you have your year end. Sometimes FPPA doesn't cooperate in February and have everything done, but we do have through June. So in looking at your report, it's kind of this report in your packet. I think it's on page 114. The top part is just our checking account that we have. We're looking more at the pension fund, which is what the volunteer firefighters get paid out of. So so far this year, the net benefits that have been paid out are $38,345. Where that's trending is a little bit lower than what we budgeted. We have had a few members pass away, but we have also, we're adding another member who, what's his name? Dimitri,
Dennis.
right?
Mhm.
Yes. Okay. Sorry, I just blanked on his name. So that will probably increase as we're going through. So going on down, the one number that looks a little scary is the unrealized gain and loss. It's looking pretty negative there. Again, it's an unrealized loss. So we're just going to keep going. The market's a little, as you all are aware, a little volatile. So we'll just keep watching that. As you can see, the realized is a gain, pretty small, but it's still a gain. So we'll just keep watching that and keep going through. But at this time, as far as the treasurer for the volunteer fire department and the finance person for the city, I'm not worried at this time that it isn't going to be funded. Did you have any questions or concerns? Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mayor's Choice. I wanted to thank the chief and your committee for the outstanding awards ceremony. I think that it was touching, and it was also just a really nicely done event, you know, good food and a nice location, a good chance to get together with people. So thank you, and please pass on thanks to the committee for that event. And I hope it's just the first of an annual event.
We certainly hope it will be, but thank you again.
Thanks. I wanted to mention to council, Councilmember Hall and Smith and I were at Coffee with Council on Saturday. We brainstormed a little on how to revamp that event. Before the meeting tonight, I also met with Amy and with Devin, and we talked about some other ideas. So we're kind of putting together a draft of what we could do, you know, for a new council kind of outreach, community engagement calendar. So I'm hoping we'll be able to have a work session and go through some of those ideas and come up with a plan. And I'd really like to hear from all of you at that event. So be thinking about, you know, what you think would be a good way to get people engaged, what would be interesting to them, what might get them to want to come to an event with us. Why don't they love us? No. No. So what would, you know, if you were in the public, what do you think would get you to want to come besides a controversy that you want to weigh in on.
Well, you take money out of somebody's wallet. they'll
Yeah, we
be
don't
here.
want it for those reasons, but yeah, what would get them to come for something, positive that we can,
Oh, I agree.
yeah.
I understand.
So just be thinking about that and we'll have another meeting about it.
Good.
That's all I have. Anybody from council have something? Nothing? Okay. Then one more opportunity for public comment. If there's anyone who'd like to speak to council tonight.
Oh, Madam Mayor. Sorry, that was a no.
Thank you.
My throat is still dry, sorry.
All right, we'll adjourn.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Chevy raised her hand.
Okay, go ahead, Chevy.
Hi, I wanted to just thank you all so much for meeting tonight and taking time out of your day. I also wanted to give a huge shout out to Sergeant Lopez with the police department and Chief Martinez. They worked diligently to gather up community members in the Sheridan Square housing development to bring just a big community gathering. We had a little block party last Thursday. And it was just a great event. We got a lot of really good feedback. It was a nice time for neighbors to get together and come and enjoy each other's company and food and just a good time. And so, Mayor, I love that you are talking about community involvement with the city council members, because I met with Sergeant Lopez after that party and he is all about it. He wants to meet with all of you and figure out what kind of events they can join in on and just come out and get community members talking and sharing. And, I think we all know that the more that you know your neighbors, the safer the neighborhood feels. And so I think that he would love to meet with any of you. And I would be happy to arrange a time to talk with any of you if you wanted to do that. And we could maybe brainstorm some ideas about how we can continue to do these awesome events in Sheridan. So thank you all for your time and for the wonderful police department that we have here.
Thank you. We appreciate those comments and appreciate you being online with us.
Thank you, Chevy.
Okay. Anyone else from the public?
No.
All right, thank you. We'll adjourn this regular meeting at 7:35 p.m. and we're going to move right into our Sheridan redevelopment meeting. I'll call to order this meeting of the Sheridan Redevelopment Agency for August 22nd, 2022. We still have all board members present. First item is the approval of minutes. Minutes of the SRA regular meeting of July 25th, 2022, and minutes of the SRA special meeting of August 8th, 2022.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I'll second. I'll give it to Board Member Whitaker.
A motion made by Board Member Daigle and seconded by Board Member Whitaker. Any discussion on the minutes? Can we get a vote, please?
Yes. Member Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Chairman Butterfloor,
Yes.
Member Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Next, we have the financial reports. Receive and file the financial reports.
I'll make a motion to receive and file the financial reports.
Second.
Motion made by Board Member Stang and seconded by Board Member Kelly. Any discussion on the financial reports? Can I get a vote, please?
Yes. Member Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Chairman Butterfloor,
Yes.
Member Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Next, we have the approval of disbursements. Authorized disbursements that have been or will be made for expenses in the amount of $117,064.42 as referenced below. Legal expenses, 0. Other professional services, $8,246.22. City support services, $108,114. Other expenses, $704.20.
I'll make a motion to approve the disbursements.
I'll second.
Motion made by Board Member Whitaker and seconded by Board Member Daigle. Any questions on the disbursements? Can I get a vote, please?
Member Daigle,
Yes.
Chairman Butterfly,
Yes.
Member Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Next, we have new business, the Pinnacle Report for August 2022.
So it is your lucky month because I got to come last time. I've been twice this time. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Anyway, so things are continuing to move and shake out at River Point. Dutch Brothers did open. Did any of you go and get your caffeine fill at
I
all?
thought
Wait, the 24th,
24th.
Yeah.
24th.
Not open yet.
Yeah.
Close.
I was just gonna say that.
No, they told me it already opened.
Maybe it's a
Online it
soft
says the
open.
24th.
Official date is the 24th.
I drove by there on my way down here. There was a long line.
I think
Yeah.
they did a soft opening
Okay,
last
yeah, I was
Friday.
gonna say, there's- yeah.
I think that's what Jess said they were gonna do was have a soft opening last Friday. So they might be kind of on and off open until they have their grand opening, which is
24th.
there you go.
So the grand opening is
Wednesday.
the
Yeah,
24th.
Wednesday.
So
So the grand opening is Wednesday, but they're open right now, probably. I'm going to go
Open
get
inside.
my golden eagle right.
Sit back down, not yet.
All right, give me 30 seconds. All right.
Wait a minute.
So that's going real Cajun. Hopefully will be next month. I'll be able to report something there. And looking on down the pledge revenues, if you look year to date, we're still 10% higher on the PIF revenues. What that equates to is if you look on the financials on the projected column, I'm projecting higher in PIF, but that also means the sales tax is higher. So I'm projecting that about 400,000 higher. So that's always a good thing to be in. So just kind of, we're making more revenues, getting more money. And as like Devin said, as we get through the year, that's kind of where we're at. The letters of credit, as you know, were renewed 2 weeks ago. So we got that done. Everybody is happy. I think there was still emails going on about 11 o'clock that night. But yes, everybody, hopefully next time will go a little smoother. So, and then there's budget. So we're going to come to you in September to present the draft, and then we do not need to have 2 readings for the SRA. So we'll present that to be approved at the October meeting. So, do you have any questions?
Don't gloss over the chart. The chart looks outstanding.
I said it's up 10%. So
There it is.
so, but anyway,
I know,
so
right?
did you have any questions?
Concerns?
I could have a question. The new management folks,
Yes, Kimco?
things are going okay with them?
Yeah, I think we're all learning, but they're the thing that I found on the dealings that I've had with them, they return your calls, they return your emails. They'll, if they don't understand the process, they get everybody together. So what I've dealt with as far as like the finances and the bonds and different things like that, it has been good. But I know there's also the development side that like Andrew and those guys and Devin deal with. So, but I know on my side, it has been pretty responsive. So have you heard something different?
No.
Okay.
I was just wondering because before we've always wanted to like put up holiday
lighting.
stuff.
Mhm.
Back to annual there,
Yes. Talking
silly.
Hey, well, we
talking
have some
annual.
money. Maybe we can get them to.
And they've
agree to
not,
that.
the others would never
Yeah.
allow, and they have those great lamp posts with the little things to put banners that we
Yeah.
could hang Sheridan Celebrate banners from, and we've never been allowed to. So that's kind of what I was curious. Are
got
are
it.
they that friendly? I mean, they should be.
I think they're still really trying to get their feet under them and see
Well, they best hurry,
what's
because
the ins and outs of this new property that they have. So we haven't had a whole lot of interaction with them at this point. So I don't have a lot to report, unfortunately.
I'll just keep that on
But we will
our
certainly.
annual radar.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Any
Anything
other
else?
questions?
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That's all for tonight. We'll be adjourned at 7:42 PM. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you.